Hey, Philip here, and this video is going to be a little bit different. If you've watched others on the channel, they are mostly tutorial videos, things of how to make your AI automations work, craft your agents, do all that sort of stuff. This video is going to be a little different because it's actually me on a call with a lady who had asked a question, who was struggling making some changes to her workflows in GHL. It was about AI agents. So this video is a recording of that call with a screen share showing how I would make changes to a traditional database reactivation where the first message gets sent out and the AI responds, how I would change that structure to reply to inbound messages and then have the AI pick up. So this could be used for putting a phone number on your website, saying, look, DM me info or contact or something else, and getting people to come inbound to your business. This is how I would make changes to some existing workflows to support that inbound process. Enjoy. Okay, so you should hopefully see my screen. I'm into the automations area in one of my accounts.
Yes.
Okay, so much like the other builds that you've got, there's a conversation start point, okay? And by default, this is the one that's going to send the first message out, okay? So in my world, I've got this, it's a revive SMS. It's that first message out, you know, there, hey, this is Sarah, you know, all that sort of stuff. Now, for you, you have two choices, okay? This message content, just move that window out of the way, either becomes your hi, dynamic first name, you know, this is Taylor with Total Risk Advisors. Thank you for your interest. So that sort of would come out of the prompt and into this message, or you ignore this whole starting conversation bit.
Right.
Okay? Because with you having the requirement to support an inbound message first, if you're telling the AI that its first message should be, okay, hi, dynamic first name, this is Taylor, there's a question of what this is going to be, given that this is in a custom value, okay, so it's always going to be sent. And then if you are telling the AI, which is in a separate workflow, because this is pre-scripted currently, to also send that first message as its first message, that's potentially where you're seeing the same message twice.
Right.
Because you've got one pre-scripted one, and you're also telling the AI to send the same message.
Okay.
So the two options here are have it as the pre-scripted one, change the prompts, or forget this first workflow and we create a little one that just tries to capture that first name, last name, email address, and then goes directly through into, okay, now create my first AI message.
Which one do you think is better?
Well, this one has all your opportunity and pipeline stages and things already in it.
Okay.
So I would probably keep this one because it's, again, if you've already worked through it and you're familiar with this layout for sort of the starting conversation, I would keep this.
Okay.
So this first custom value message, that's where I would have the, you know, hi, John, this is Taylor with Total Risk Advisors. You know, thank you for your interest. And so I would put that in the custom value and I would remove it, or I would at least change the prompt to say this message has already been sent.
Gotcha.
This should not be your first AI message.
Right. So
that's what you're telling the AI.
Right. So I'm telling the AI this is the message that they're responding to. Or no?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So currently in the prompt, you've got it as this is the message I want you to send. So we would change that to say this is the message they are responding to.
Right. Because then the prompt kicks in.
Yes.
After this first SMS. Okay.
Yep. And what I would do here is we don't need this contact tag.
Okay.
We would, as you rightly had, we need customer replied.
Okay.
Because we're doing it based on the inbound. So it will be reply channel. SMS. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the first one coming in. And we may say, you know what, we only want it to be the first time that they're going to enter this. So maybe we doesn't have a tag. We put inbound, something like that. So we can then add that tag so that they can't come back into this workflow.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So if we have that as a trigger, I'll just cancel that for now as we're talking through it. So when somebody sends you that first message with their first name, last name, email, they should come through into here because they haven't got that tag already. Then we're going to add the tag. So I would put a step here for
inbound.
Yeah, let's make sure that the tag is in there. So we will add a tag, add contact tag, and we can select the tag and do all of that. I'll just pick a random one for now.
Right.
Okay. Then what I would do is I would use one of the ChatGPT steps. Okay. I'm going to update the contacts. So update contact fields. And we have the lead response. Just for reference, I've separated because I've got some email stuff as well. So I've got SMS specific fields and I've got some that are sort of more for email responses. Okay. So for me, in my world, I would take lead response SMS. And what I would do is I would take message body. Okay, so message body is the contents of the message that has been received from the user. Okay, so if they've sent that first inbound message with their first name, their last name, their email address, it will all be contained in this. Okay. So if we update this field with the contents of that message, we can then interrogate it. Okay. So I would add a ChatGPT step because currently when the message comes in, a contact will be created, but it will only have the phone number. It doesn't understand the contents of the message.
Correct.
Okay. So you will have contacts being added, but you'll only be able to see the phone number.
Right.
So for anything that's in the AI prompt and you're saying, remember to use their first name, remember to use their email address, it's like, I've got no clue what you're on about here.
I got you.
Okay? So what I would do is I would use, we can either use the summarize or we can use the GPT powered. And we're just going to say, you know what? I want you to look through. Okay. And I would have this as sort of 2 or 3 different steps. Okay. So the first one is going to be email address. And then whichever way around we do it, it could be the name that we do first. But the whole point is we're trying to get ChatGPT to say, look, there's a message we've received here. It's got some contents in it. We want to try and pull some stuff out. Okay. So if you can look through this fields and there's only one message in there. Okay. And you can identify, actually, I'll make that clearer. Identify is probably a better word for the AI to understand. The email address of the user. Okay. Your output then will be only the email address. So I would save that.
What is, when you said there, your output will only be the email address, what does that mean?
So if we think whether we're doing the Zapier or we're doing the ChatGPT step here and we've got the full prompt, okay, and the conversation flow and the questions we want to ask, currently we send that prompt to ChatGPT. It reads through it and says, okay, there's conversation history here. I need to create a new message because that's what we're asking it to do. And it then comes back, it goes into that ChatGPT field, and that's when it then triggers to send the next message. In this instance, we're not asking it to create a message to be sent. We just want it to create an output for us that we can store in a field. Okay. So our output, rather than will be a message, hi John, thanks for getting, any of that sort of stuff, or, have you connected with the executive director on LinkedIn? We're not interested in that right now because we're trying to still understand what the contents of that first message is.
Right.
So we're just asking it, your output, I only want to be the email address.
Okay.
Because what we can do is once we have that, we can then say, okay, great. Now update contact fields. And I'm going to go email. And my contents here will be GPT, number 3, response. Okay. So whatever the output from this is here, which should be the email address. Okay. It's now going to update the email field for that contact. Okay. And so we would repeat the process, do the same step again for the first name, first and last name. Now, it seems a bit convoluted and complex the way that we're doing this, but it's because we're responding to an inbound message with no other details. Nobody's filled in a form. Therefore, we haven't got their email address. We haven't got their name or details or anything else like that. It's purely basing it on that inbound message. So we need some way to interrogate and understand the content of that message.
Correct.
Then we can go through and start doing everything else. Okay. So I would build these steps first. Excuse me, suffering from a cold at the minute. You probably hear it in the background. So then this first outbound message, yes, I would have the custom value and I would have the, hi, this is Taylor message. You can pre-script that one. It will go through the rest of it. Do they reply to that? Yes.
And
it should change the timeouts.
It should now obviously in that custom value, it should obviously now be able to pick up the first name after we've done those steps above.
Yes, that's the whole point. So in this custom value, if we've got hi John and we put John as look at the contact's first name. If ChatGPT has done its stuff properly, and this is where we also need to make sure we do a little bit of testing, if we can see that through the testing, it's been able to successfully pick up, okay, there's a first name there, there's an email address, great. Then we can move on to making sure that, there's a placeholder in this custom value for that first name. It's not going to be empty anymore. And this is one of the things I always talk to people about. It's like building it is one thing, testing it very different. Because you see where some of the gaps are. It's like, okay, that's not quite working as I intended. Is it the prompt? Is it the workflow? What do I need to change?
Right.
So once we've got this as that sort of hi, this is Taylor message. You can change your wait time and the timeout for that, waiting for a response, because the rest of the steps in here, changing, updating the opportunity, updating the AI conversation, that's all pretty much same stuff from the other builds that you've seen. Yes. So you can sort of leave those as is if you wanted to, that's fine. Changing your bump messages, absolutely. Now you can change those. And what we've got here is if the contact replies, then yes, they're being added to the workflow. So the workflow is when the first AI message gets created. So it's in this workflow, which I'll switch to, where we have the prompt.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that when I looked at it.
If they reply after a bump, it's moving them back up, updating these things, and then still adding to that create AI message workflow.
Right.
So in terms of the prompts, the conversation history has been updated. They've replied to that hi Taylor, hi this is Taylor message. Here we have the full prompts. So as you would in Zapier, we're saying, this is everything. These are all the details of the full conversation. So this is my default one in here at the minute. So this is where you would put your prompts, and then we would have the output from this. Okay. Automatically puts it in. So we're just looking to make sure that there is an output ready. So is not empty from this. So we're not actually updating the ChatGPT fields. Okay. This is a temporary field. Okay. So when it creates the response, it's stored like magically, and then we can reference that. So we don't need to have a step for it to update the ChatGPT field like we do if we're using Zapier, because the data has to come back from Zapier into a field for us to be able to use it. This is a temporary one because it's all kept with inside GHL. So once this is not empty, the principle is the same as a Zapier build, but yes, we don't need that extra step.
So
if
when
it's
I'm
not empty, go on.
when I'm coming in here, I'm not changing those first two steps at all. Those are good to go.
You're changing
Oh,
this
I'm
one
sorry.
because
I'm
this
sorry.
is your
Yes.
prompt.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm changing the prompt, but the second one I'm not doing anything there.
You don't need to change. And this AI GPT response, you don't need to change because this is then going to be the contents of the message that's been created by ChatGPT.
Okay.
So that will then be the contents of the SMS that gets sent. So the second SMS onwards,
Correct.
because the first one is that pre-scripted one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So then we have the update the conversation. We're going to wait. If they reply, it's going to go and add to the response workflow where we're going to record the response from the user. If there's been no reply, we've got that timeout and another bump. So again, you may want to change the contents of that bump. For me, I've just set it as a default. Just wanted to check you saw my last message. Again, different ways of doing this. You can have the AI craft a specific message if you wanted to. So yeah, there are different ways of doing that over time. But this is the general flow as is set up.
And then on the left, what will happen when a contact does reply, it's empty there. So I don't need to add anything in there.
You don't, because what will happen is they will automatically be added to the customer response workflow. Okay. The trigger for this workflow, the only way that they can be added to this one, once it loads in, is because they have replied to a message sent by the Create AI workflow.
Okay.
And this is, so the way that I tend to explain this is you're creating a loop, but it's a walled garden. Okay. So where we created that trigger for the starting conversation, you could only come in if you didn't have this tag. Okay. You can only come into this workflow if you've replied on SMS and the message you are replying to came from this workflow. Okay. So if you send a general SMS and replying to some other workflow, you're not going to enter here.
Right.
So this is where we keep it as a walled garden, and where we can then also have in a sub account doing a speed to lead and a DBR and a reputation all together, because we have them as individual walled gardens.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So if they've replied to the message in the Create AI workflow, they're going to come in here. We're going to do a little wait because we want to see if they send 2 SMS. Okay. So you may have seen that there's a workflow in some of the other builds that you put into the Loom videos. For this one, I've just put it as listen functionality. So it will be listening to see if there is a reply. If it is, it's going to store those details. Oh, there's a second message. Okay, listen to, I'm going to store those details as well. So it updates the conversation before somebody moves through this wait step.
Okay.
So the AI then has that updated conversation in the contact field that it can reference. Okay. Just put in here, if we can tell that message contains stop, again, let's remove them from this and not do anything further. If we've gone through the wait, conversation is updated. We're also doing a check here for where are we in the conversation? Okay. So similar to, can you tell me if there's an email address in this message? If you can, I want you to just put the email address as your output. So this is similar. I want you to look through the conversation. Can you tell me if we're in the middle or the end of a conversation?
So
if we're in the middle of a conversation, I want to continue it. I need you to create a new reply. Okay.
So this is a checkpoint to make sure that the GPT understands essentially where it's at right now in the conversation.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So this is something that I have sort of bespoke created. And again, there's tweaks that I keep making to it based on the conversations that I see with the clients and things. But the whole premise is, okay, if we're in the middle of a conversation, great, continue it. I want your output to be continue. you're going to get added to the Create AI workflow, and we're going to get a new message created. If you think the conversation is coming to a close and somebody says, thanks, that's all I need, then you'll go through a closing start, which has a pre-scripted SMS. Let me know if there's anything else you need. Again, this can be changed. If somebody replies saying, thanks, have a great week, because they've gone through this closing start, we've added a tag, they'll go through the closing now, no SMS. Okay. We're not setting a pre-scripted one. We're not telling the AI to create a new message because we're at the end of a conversation.
Yeah. And I love that you've created that, because I've noticed with some other clients where, the person will say, oh, whatever, they'll say something. They'll say something.
And everybody's going, thanks, see you later, see you next week.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, stop already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, again, I keep tweaking this over time as I'm seeing some of the conversation flows and how AI responds. And obviously this prompt here, it's not perfect, but it's, I'd say, like 80% of the way there.
Great. Yeah.
And there may be things based on the as you see the flow of conversation, there may be like repeated phrases that come from the user.
Right.
And you can see that actually that is like an ending one. So, I've got in here example messages from the user might be, no, that's it, thanks, all good for now. You may see some and you're like, you know what, I can just add that in because it would be an extra reference point for the AI to try and help it understand this conversation is coming to a close.
Right. Okay.
So this is something that you can play with over time as you see those conversations come through. But yes, the main point of this is we're trying to determine if we're continuing the conversation or we are closing it off. Okay. If we're continuing it, they're going down this first path, and we've got the add to workflow. So they're going to go back to that create AI message. So that's where I mentioned there's a loop then in this closed walled garden. And so they will go through back into this workflow. The AI will say, we've received a message. I can see the updated conversation. Okay, now I need to reply to that.
Okay.
So this is the overall main structure of those workflows. The changes that we can make for supporting the inbounds. Now, the other changes that I would think about making would be in the prompts. So if you give me a minute, I will switch screens, show you the prompts and just sort of start to highlight a couple of things and explain my thinking around that.
Okay.
But as we've gone through these workflows now, does that make sense? Do you have any questions of what I've gone through and the suggestions of the changes to make?
I appreciate you going through it. The only question I have is, it's just those, I think we've looked at 2 or 3. It's just those 2 or 3 workflows really that I'm focused on. Are there any others following? So yeah, it's those 3.
So it's those 3 are the main ones. So your prompts will go in the Create AI. You don't really need to do anything in the customer response. I just showed you that so you can see that loop happening.
Yep.
Okay. And somebody replies to the AI message, they get moved into the customer response. We detect, is it a conversation that's in mid-flow or it's closing? Once we know that, we can take the next step. So if it's continue, it moves back to the Create AI message. The Convo Start, we were editing the beginning of that to try and understand, okay, can we pull out the first name, last name, email address? The others that I've got in here, this is more for the calendar booking stuff.
Okay.
Excuse me. So in my prompts, normally, and if I have these active, I have a line in the prompts. When somebody says, yes, I'd love a call, I will say, okay, do you want me to suggest some slots or would you like me to send you a booking link? Okay. If it's a booking link, then it's going to be great. Here's a message with the calendar link that is in the prompts. Okay. And then they will come into this workflow, which is the calendar link sent, because it's then checking for that booking link being sent. So trigger, contacts changed, main conversation history has changed. Do they qualify? I'm looking for the booking link for the calendar
Mm-hmm.
in the conversation history, then I know it's been sent,
Yep.
and I can take the actions after that. So, once the schedule, update the opportunity, send that internal notification.
Right.
Here I've got to wait as well to see if they have booked. If they've got a tag of appointment booked, great, I'm going to do nothing. If they haven't, I'm going to bump them and say, did you manage to find the slots?
Yep.
Because I've sent you the booking link.
Right.
So again, you could change this if you wanted to. Currently it's in draft, so you would need to publish it. I've left them all in drafts because there's that decision point of, do you want just the booking link? Do you want to be able to try and get the AI to suggest some slots, which sits in a separate workflow? So that's why they're all in draft for now. And then once you decide which route you want to go down, you'll just sort of turn on the workflows.
Okay. And so then
conversation. Go on. Yeah.
I was just going to say, where within the previous workflow does it trigger? Oh, I guess it's in the prompt.
It's not,
it's not in the workflow, it's in the prompt. Yep. Okay.
Correct. So that's it. There's a line in there I have in the prompts that says, if somebody says yes to a call, ask them, would they like the booking link?
Right.
Or would they like, to suggest some slots?
I gotcha.
Okay.
Understood.
So this is the one specifically for the calendar link.
Yep.
If I go into the appointment AI calendar auto booking, okay. So still checking the same fields, because this is where the conversation history is in my build. Okay, so every message from the AI and from the user is being updated in this field. Okay, so once that's changed, yep, somebody's going to come into here. We're going to be checking the condition. So the previous workflow was, can I see the calendar booking link?
Right.
This one is, can I see the text that says, let me check the calendar? So it's given the option of, do you want the booking link or do you want me to try and suggest some slots? If somebody says, yes, suggest some slots, that's great. The AI then goes, let me check the calendar. Okay, so that's then the point where somebody will continue down this path. We remove them from the other workflows because for the period while we're trying to create the booking, we don't want the ChatGPT AI to create some random messages.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're using GHL's internal booking bots, and it's just simple. Suggest some slots, give it some details of the previous conversation here, which is stored in the custom fields. Your objective, primary goal is to build trust, guide them to booking and appointments, can't help with cancellation and scheduling. So it will go through and say, okay, we've got these times available on this day. And it will do that back and forth automatically for you because it's only set up to do calendar bookings.
That's great.
Okay. So then once the appointment is booked, it's going to send an SMS saying appointment was booked, should receive an email confirmation, because the calendar, if it's the GHL calendar, you can set that up where it sends the email confirmation with all the details.
Right.
If there's a timeout, there was no response from the user or something like that, and you can set the timeouts on this step.
Okay.
Are you still interested in booking a call? So just trying to nudge them. Okay. Wait for a response. So you can see there's some similarities between the two. So we're updating the conversation based on the contents of the message. This one, because its appointment was booked, we're updating the opportunity, booked call. We've then got the timeouts. Now, some people, they may just not reply to this message, which is fine, because they've just been sent a message that says, you're going to receive an email confirmation, congratulations on booking your call. They may not reply. That's fine.
Right.
So they will never move past this step because there's no timeout on this.
Okay.
This one where they haven't booked, we can add a timeout. Currently, there isn't one, but if we wanted to add that timeout, we can do. So we would say maybe 3 days if they haven't replied to a booking, we want them to go and do something different. At the minute, I've set it as no timeouts because I want to see if I get a response to book, the message about are they interested in booking a call?
Right.
Because if they reply to this, it's going to add them back into the Create AI workflow. So it's going to get the AI to send another message saying, great, you're still interested in booking a call. Do you want me to send you the link again?
Yeah, right.
All that sort of stuff. So it will go back into that normal flow.
Yeah.
But that's why I've got it set to sort of wait for it.
Yep. Okay.
Rather than it being a timeout, because there's no guarantee that they're still interested. Now, as I said, you could change this if you wanted to, maybe over time and do some testing. It's like, okay, I do want to send them another bump. So maybe I have a timeout here and then I put in another step that is another bump message saying, would hate for you to miss this opportunity. Be great to get a call in the calendar. Just let me know if you're still interested. So you could add that in as a bump if you wanted to.
Okay.
So yes, this is the auto booking one where it's just going to suggest slots and then update the contact fields with whatever reply we get, if we get a reply, and then add them back to the contact workflow. Create AI workflow. So they go back into that loop.
Right. And in this one for the auto booking, you mentioned that it's using GHL's system to do that.
Yep.
Is there anything that I would need to set up to have that work, or it's just having the calendar set up?
It's just having the calendar set up and then telling it which calendar. So I don't know if you saw.
Sure. Okay.
Here, I have to select a calendar. So it knows and can check that availability and then book the appointment into that calendar.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay.
So yeah, that's the GHL calendar that you set up. It can be connected to that external Google Calendar or the Outlook calendar. That's fine because that's still helping it then understand availability.
Sure.
But yes, it's setting up and choosing the GHL calendar.
That's great.
Okay. So yes, then there's one, possibly two things in this flow to check. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get the recording of this call that I can share with you.
Yes, definitely.
And then look back through afterwards. Okay, so workflows are there. The listen ones I mentioned, these are updating the conversation history. I'll just show you those quickly. Somebody replies.
I saw those.
Okay, update the contact fields, add the tag. Great. Because in the response workflow, we've got that little wait period where we're waiting for the conversation to be updated. And then we're doing that check of, are we continuing a conversation or are we ending a conversation?
Okay.
So there you go. A look at how we can change some of the GHL workflows to support inbound messages, but also then a look at how I structure some of my workflows and automations, doing a loop with the AI messaging, how it understands what's happening with the conversation history, and then some of the other bits that I put into my workflows like the auto booking. So getting the AI to look in the calendar, potentially book someone in. Hope you found this useful. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.